Hello, I am here speaking to you live. Um, how's it going? Oh God, I have to remember to do that every time. All right, what's up? Boy, oh boy, this past week has been fucking crazy, very crazy. Um, uh, but we'll get into that, all sorts of fun stuff in a moment here. No, not now. Shut. All right. Hope everyone's doing well. We have again a lot to talk about. Um, I suppose there's no sense in waiting. Let me pull up some stuff. All right. I'm going to pull this up from a while ago. Never mind. I guess it wasn't that long ago. Okay. All right. So, as some of you may know, I'm not a big fan of George Bush. I think he was pretty cringe. Um, very cringe, in fact. And recently, he was doing a speech. I don't even know where. Um, the George W. Bush Institute. Okay. Anyway, he was doing a speech, and apparently he was discussing the war in Ukraine, and then there was a Freudian slip that took place, which we are going to look at now. So allow me to bestow upon you this amazing and unbelievable thing I've ever, like the most crazy thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Um, yeah, hold on one sec. All right, here we go. This is it. Um, yeah, let's watch this. This is the video that has been circulating. So let's see what's up.
In contrast,
Oh wait, actually, one sec. Let me make sure the audio is. Okay. Okay, that that should be fine. Okay, let's do it.
Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating.
Sorry, let me just start over.
In contrast, Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process.
I'm assuming that he is contrasting this with the United States, either that or Ukraine. But regardless, I think that in either respect, it would be sort of like that implication there. I kind of disagree with because there are ways in which disenfranchisement can take place within the United States at the very least, specifically with respect to um, African Americans, uh, people who are of lower class. I mean, this is a problem that certainly America faces. And I think that this sort of now, of course, I don't want to sort of equate the two because like there's degrees of severity with respect to how the democratic institutions function in the United States versus Russia. However, I just think I don't know, just I wouldn't. It's sort of sugarcoating it in my opinion, but yeah.
The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. I mean, of Ukraine. Iraq. Anyway, uh, 75.
The laughing though. Yeah, so that was probably, and I'm not even kidding, the most unbelievable Freudian slip I've ever seen. Um, he's kind of admitting, or I mean, he is admitting, but like he's sort of giving the game away there. I mean, he hasn't been in office for a while. I don't blame him in terms of like forgetting how to lie effectively. He's been painting and shit, so you know, I just think this is like fucking incredible because now it you heard it from the horse's mouth, right? Uh, you know, so that's just fucking wild. I I was just flabbergasted when I saw that. So yeah, war criminals. They are apparently a dime a dozen with any um, U.S. president, but it's rare in which it's rare when we see a such a like a slip here. But he's right. He's 74 or whatever how old he is. Lying is pretty hard when you get up to that age. They just stop caring, I think, to some extent. But oh boy, seeing this was fucking crazy. Oh man, I it's wild over here, man. Cool. Um, yeah, so that's that. It's still kind of crazy to hear that out loud. Yeah. So anyway, that was when I talked about that. But there's also some other shit that's certainly worth addressing here. Now I just gotta pull it up. Oh man, that's gonna be a rabbit hole. Yeah, and if you hear my dogs barking, just roll with it, I guess. Okay, hold on. Let me get to the original post. All right, all right. Okay, so Jordan Peterson, who is a clinical psychologist, I believe, and of course, right wing grifter, as the territory brings. He was on Twitter the other day, and he was, I guess, crying or something about this swimsuit model on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Yeah, the swimsuit model. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, there's my face. There is that person's face. Okay, yeah. So then he retweeted this, and this is the original thing. It's just her on a swimsuit model, and the title of this actually, the New York Post, like the title of this, like whatever. It's just like seems like okay, supportive, cool. This is the woman. And then the doctor, Jordan Peterson, retweeted it, expressing his dissatisfaction with the fact that he couldn't jack off to this. Um, and he said that, sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change it. Authoritarian tolerance is really weird. In fact, this entire thing is actually pretty fucked up. This is obviously like um, a really fucked up thing to say. And he got dunked on really hard from basically every person. Um, I mean, he got ratioed hardcore here. 136,000 from Hassan. I mean, ratios aren't like everything, but they certainly reveal something in terms of the extent to how popular or unpopular someone is, but regardless, it is pretty fucked up to say this, and there was some discussions about like are there objective standards for beauty, and there have been some studies, I believe, with respect to like how symmetry and attraction correlate with one another or how they interact with one another. And that's fine, but at the same time, standards of beauty overall are very subjective. In terms of standards of beauty in today's, modern age, I think that the tide is shifting because for a very long time, stretching back probably to the 80s, maybe even further, people were found very skinny people attractive, especially women. And we are seeing, or starting to rather, see a shift away from that. I mean, I'm not like any sociologist, but I just personally, from what I've seen, whether it be through swimsuit models, through ads, and just overall acceptance of people who are or women who are larger, I think that the acceptance of larger models is becoming more ubiquitous. But yeah, anyway, the thing that's annoying is that he just randomly, out of the blue, just retweeted this and got upset. It's like he's mad for no reason. I don't. I really am truly perplexed because no one is forcing him to like fap to this picture. But I don't know. So I don't understand like what the idea behind authoritarian tolerance is. I think to him, authoritarian tolerance just means like don't be fat phobic. In which case that's pretty fucking crazy because like that's a pretty low bar to clear. And I just don't get why he would even post this. Like it's pretty it's an L at all around. Even like people, even like conservatives, I believe there are some conservatives. Like I think Michael Knowles even stated like he thought Yumi Nu was like actually attractive, or that she wasn't not beautiful. I think a lot of people universally would look at this picture and think that this woman is attractive. I think like maybe there would be a higher concentration of people who find this attractive, and maybe in Western society. I don't really know. I'm not an expert on that shit. But what I do know is that saying this is really fucking desperate and needlessly disrespectful. But what do you expect from you know a right wing grifter, right? From Dr. Peterson. It's funny because the fallout from this, he went on like a 20 tweet thread. Is this it? And I plan to write over what it. Oh, okay. So he gets upset. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So what he did was he told his staff to change his password and to keep him from temptation, um, and that he's departing apparently again. I guess he departed before. I don't know what was the catalyst for that, but and he stated, if I have something to say, I'll write an article or make a video. Okay. And then, so endlessly, and then he was complaining here, of course, about the vicious insults that were levied against him for being a fucking degenerate, fat phobic piece of shit. And he goes on about the incentive structure and like how people are libs on, like how Twitter prioritizes liberals and leftist ideology or whatever the fuck other conspiracy theory he wants to throw out there. But I just find it very interesting that a person can go on social media. Someone who has how many followers does he have? Over 2 million. Okay, almost three. Over 2 million followers. Retweet a a post and basically just being disrespectful for no reason, like no reason, and then didn't apparently expect any backlash. It doesn't make any sense to me. I almost feel as though this is like was like designed. Like I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he did it just so he would get backlash, and that way he can do this performative. Oh, yeah, these people are very intolerant. These people are fucking crazy on Twitter. Social media is rampant with this communist ideology. And I'm gonna leave again as a virtue signal. And if there's anything important that I need to do or communicate to the public, I will do it through my own personal forums. It could be that, honestly, the more I think about it. But I don't see how I just don't see how like it honestly matters, I guess, at the end of the day. Because, people are going to see this shit and probably be turned off from uh, Jordan Peterson's political prescriptions or predilections, whatever the case may be. It's just like really fucking weird. Like he's really upset, and he like did like a 12 thread thing or something, and it's yeah, I don't know. He's just doing the pity shit, and it's really not gonna work because everyone knows that he's like a very big piece of shit for doing that. But if we want to discuss the broader implications about beauty as a whole, um, it's again very subjective. And in history, people who were of larger stature were considered more attractive because they were able, or that signaled to others that they had the capacity to eat more food or had the means to afford to eat more food, and it was sort of a class symbol, if you may say. And there's also historical pieces of art which display women who are larger by our standards and who are and they portrayed them in a more positive light, and people were more attracted to those kind of people back in the day. And things change, but the point here is that beauty and the standards thereof changes over time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's one thing to be. It's okay if like you're not attracted to like larger people. That's not a big deal. It's if that's the case, you don't need to like quote retweet something basically calling like being a piece of shit. So that's the main issue here. But I don't know. That's my, I guess, take on that. But I mean, Peterson's fucking crazy. I'm surprised I don't know, like that he's still like has even somewhat of a following. Yeah, I don't know. He's pretty cringe, and this is just another example of that. Okay. Yeah. Boy, oh boy, it's pretty fucking crazy out here. All right. Oh boy. Um. Oh shit. All right. Well, there's some other shit. I definitely I'm tired. Sorry. Um, other stuff I wanted to discuss. It's pretty crazy. Let me see if I can find the thread. Okay. Let me see if I can find. Oh. Okay. All right. So there's All right. Let me pull this up. Okay. There is Briahna Joy Gray, and if you don't know who she is, that's probably good. But for the purposes of this segment, let me just go over who she is really. So basically, she's a crypto fascist, and I feel like that has been exhibited ever more clearly. That every time I hear about her, I become more convinced of this. It's kind of the same deal with like Ryan Knight, how they are, it's this pipeline of moving people who are disaffected with from the left, pulling them over to the right. This is a very common thing that we see in the political scene right now. But she was actually the press secretary, I believe, of the Bernie Sanders campaign. And if that's a fall from grace, yeah, that's fucking wild. And she was on Rising, apparently. And she was discussing this segment here about whether if Tucker Carlson was correct. And they discussed generally the Great Replacement theory. So we're gonna look at some clips, and then you know what? We're just gonna do that. We're gonna look at some clips, and then we're gonna be hard on her because this is pretty egregious. So, um, let's just look at what's happening. Actually, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? Actually, here's what I'll do. I'm going to pull up the actual segment because that might be more useful to us. Okay. Wait. It's gonna be rough. If I'm able to find it, we'll do it. Okay. I didn't even notice that she like went on. If maybe she was just a guest on the Hill. Am I not gonna be able to find it? Man, she's on here a lot actually. Jesus, maybe she is like full time on the Hill, which would be really funny. Uh, I'm not seeing it, fam. I'm not seeing it. Uh, it. Yeah, I don't. Oh my god, this is fucking terrible. These videos. I don't. Wait, hold on. Maybe this is. Okay, that's a very close. I don't know. Oh my god. Okay, there. Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Looking at the Hill, it's like staring into the abyss. I mean, when you see this shit, like, media blames Buffalo shooting on Tucker Carlson. Twitter exposed. Leaked video shows site's engineers saying employees are communist fuck. Oh no. This is reporting to these people? This is laughable. The only people who took that seriously were like right wing and far right like media. Oh no. That was Project Veritas that did that shit. You can't use that as a source. It's like asking a middle schooler their opinion on like fucking the Constitution or whatever. It's not going to be completely informed. Uh, okay, I might be getting to a. Oh, this is it. Okay, here we go.
On your radar. Well, of course, as you all know by now, 10 people were murdered in a grocery store in Buffalo, New York by a self-described white supremacist who
You know what we'll do? I'm sorry for like. Let's just look at what the Great Replacement is. I know what it is, but I feel like for the purposes of this segment, we should discuss it just a little bit. So the Great Replacement is also known as replacement theory, which is a right nationalist, far-right conspiracy theory disseminated by French author Renaud Camus. The original theory states that with the complicity or cooperation of replacement elites, the white European populations are being demographically and culturally replaced with non-white peoples, especially from Muslim-majority countries, through mass migration, demographic growth, and a drop in the birth rate of white Europeans. Mainstream scholars have dismissed these claims as rooted in an exaggerated reading of immigration statistics and premised upon an unscientific racist worldview. So that's basically the general gist of that. So, with that, let us continue here. Is that okay? No, it's not. All right.
Specifically sought out a predominantly black community and traveled 200 miles to kill black people. Among those killed were Roberta Drury, age 32, who loved Whitney Houston, Ruth Whitfield, 86, a devoted grandmother, Celestine Chaney, 65, a breast cancer survivor, and Andre McNeil, 53, who was at the supermarket picking up a cake for his 3-year-old son. Although some are trying to cast this homicidal event as just another murder in the context of a country that is always dealing with the consequences of having more guns than people, racism is not incidental to this story. In a lengthy document left by the killer, he explicitly lamented that because white populations on average have lower birth rates, that white people are making up a smaller and smaller proportion of the global and national population. To him, this is a problem. And his solution? To kill black people with a gun on which he had written, "Here's your reparations." As you've likely heard by now, the idea that white Americans are threatened by demographic changes is known as the Great Replacement Theory. It's a narrative that first gained traction on explicitly white supremacist websites before being mainstreamed by conservative commentators.
As we just read, that's not true. It was disseminated by the French author Renaud Camus. Not websites online, right? Maybe I'm misunderstanding her, though. This is 2011. Oh, wait. Okay, wait, hold on. There's actually, it's a little bit more complicated than what she's saying, because it's been characterized through other far-right theories since the late 19th century, but it became popularized in 2011. Yeah. So it may have become more. It may have proliferated more through the advent of, or not through the advent, but like through the ubiquity of like online media forums and like far right websites or whatever. But it has been ostensibly a prevalent within literature and among political groups for a while now.
In the wake of the Buffalo Massacre, Tucker Carlson has come under scrutiny as perhaps the most high-profile purveyor of this narrative. He, of course, does not advocate for physical violence against non-white populations or anyone. In fact, Tucker Carlson is fastidiously race-neutral in his language.
Is he? Wait, is he? Is he now? Huh. He's fastidious in his language to be race-neutral. Source? Because there is plenty of evidence. This is one of the most watched media figures in the country. He has verbatim, maybe not verbatim, but he has almost verbatim, repeated the 14 words, like several times. Also, I think John Oliver did a piece on Tucker Carlson a while ago, and he revealed that the rhetoric in which Tucker Carlson uses on his show is extremely similar, if not blatantly, a repetition of the Great Replacement Theory and just far-right national talking points in general. He's always fear-mongering about immigration. He's always fear-mongering about whites being replaced and demographic changes. So this is not something that is race-neutral by any respect.
Adopting the famous colorblind quote from Martin Luther King and stressing that his interest is in protecting American culture and the American way of life. In fact, Fox News just tweeted this out on Monday. So what does Carlson say that has...
No, wait, hold on. What's that say? The American way of life is the meritocracy. Judge me by what I do, not how I look, by the content of my character. Not oh, wait, hold on. Judge me by the content of my character, not the color of my skin. Tucker Carlson. It's just, okay, I don't know, but it's like saying, like... I feel like, okay, you don't you don't have to be explicit to convey a message. You can be implicit, or you can suggest it through several things orbiting the main point that you really are trying to get at. I feel like this is like well, he didn't technically say treat all black people like degenerate subhumans. He just said there is a wave of immigration, an infestation of immigrants coming into the country, stealing your jobs, and replacing the demographics of this country and making it a hellhole to live in for white people. I'm not saying that like black people are like terrible. I'm just saying that fucking immigrants are coming in here and doing all this bad shit to white people. So by what I'm saying here is that what I just said now is implicitly um, implicitly supporting the Great Replacement theory through the use of like just walking around it, right? So it's an effective propaganda tool, but this is really just, and if people aren't able to see this, they can just like, to them they can just blame it on, well, I didn't know any, like he's not actually just saying it outright. So he's just misinformed, or like he's just trying to do the best that he can. And I'm hard pressed to believe that. I think, and look, I think that you guys can get a lot of good understanding of the ways in which Tucker Carlson employs his propaganda by watching that John Oliver segment. I think that's actually a really good place to start. Um, but yeah, this all is stupid.
On Monday. So what does Carlson say that has some liberals accusing him of culpability? Let's take a listen.
Now, I know that the left and all the little gatekeepers on Twitter become literally hysterical if you use the term replacement, if you suggest that the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. But they become hysterical because that's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it. That's true. Let's say that again for emphasis, because it is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions.
So that's literally Great Replacement rhetoric. Look at this right here. The Dem agenda relies on demographic change. What did it say up here? Wait, where is it? Hold on. The white European populations are being demographically and culturally replaced by not white peoples. And this is like almost verbatim the conspiracy theory. And you're not at all in any possible way like ascribing culpability to Tucker for being like, for basically saying the theory outright to like millions of people to hear.
Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. In other words, you're being replaced and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
Okay, he's turning into the Joker.
I mean, they're trying to change the population of the United States, and they hate it when you say that because it's true. Our country's being invaded by the rest of the world. On the state, unequivocally, the country's being stolen from American citizens.
American citizens to him is white people.
As we watch, in political terms, this policy is called the Great Replacement, the replacement of legacy Americans with more obedient people from faraway countries.
Okay.
Now, liberals interpret these statements about, America being stolen, etc., as dog whistles, as veiled references to a white way of life.
Which they are.
But Tucker Carlson never says that explicitly. And
oh my god, I love it. Okay. So it's only racist if you say the N-word. If you don't say the N-word and you call them troglodytes or subhumans or whatever, that's fine. And I'm not being racist. I only am racist if I say the N-word. This is unbelievable how, like, unable or unwilling these people are, such as Briahna Joy Gray, to apply critical thinking to anything.
More liberals accuse him of broadly being racist without being able to articulate why what he said is wrong. The more Tucker gains credibility, and the more he entrenches his coveted victim status. He's primed his audience for exactly that type of "you're a racist" attack. Take a listen.
A quick programming note, as the debate over immigration has risen to the top of the news in recent weeks, a number of figures on the left have denounced this show as racist. It's notable that not a single one of them has offered any evidence to support that slur, or even bothered to rebut the arguments that we make every night. We just make loud noises.
Lefties are always debunking your Tucker Carlson's arguments. Always. Not just him, but like other people who are as racist as him.
About white supremacy and assume that's an argument. Of course, the rest of the media dutifully repeat that.
Tucker's right. Liberals have largely been unspecific about what their concerns are with the Great Replacement rhetoric. But I will be. Tucker claims that his problem with immigration is that it will fundamentally change the voter rolls of the country to benefit Democrats. This is an explicitly political argument, not a racial one, which is why the claim...
Wait, hold on. Are we just going to ignore the... Wait, hold on. Are we just going to ignore the interaction between different ideas? Like, are we just going to fail to employ intersectional analysis to this? Because race has absolutely a role to play in this. Now, obviously, the political ramifications, there is a political, probably, perspective on this. I'm not going to deny that. But there's absolutely a racial one as well. You know, espousing essentially the 14 words every night comes down to this premise that Black people or persons of color or non-European populations are being, you know, and they're being like put into the country for the purpose of culturally erasing white culture, what have you, and it's a fear mongering technique. It's the same thing that conservatives employ when they say immigrants are stealing your jobs, when they describe them as like an infestation. It's all a matter of dehumanizing them and making it seem like it's this grand conspiracy. And it's obviously rooted in racism. So I don't know how she can fail to employ intersectional analysis here when it's very clearly pertinent.
Claims of racism falls flat, but there's no need to evoke racism to find some fault here. Take a listen to this.
But it's racist to say that the implication is that this shouldn't be happening, and that's racist.
The worst attack on our democracy in 160 years? How about the Immigration Act of 1965?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Completely changed the composition of America's voter rolls purely to benefit the Democratic Party.
It's not a bad... Okay, wait, hold on. So this is obviously a conspiracy theory, but like, I feel like this whole premise, it doesn't change the fact that what he's saying is still Great Replacement rhetoric, and that in of itself is a far right, white nationalist conspiracy theory. I mean, why can't we just say, yeah, it's racist?
That seems like kind of an assault on democracy.
I mean, of course, there's it's reprehensible politically, but it doesn't preclude the notion that this is still a racist sentiment.
Democracy, a permanent one, but no, that was a good thing because in the end it helped Joe Biden.
So in that clip, Tucker Carlson argues that the Immigration Act of 1965 was the greatest attack on our democracy since the Civil War. So what was the Immigration Act of 1965? Well, it eliminated the national origins quota system. Before 1965, Southern and Eastern Europeans, Asians, and other non-Western European or Northern European groups were severely limited in their ability to immigrate to this country. The Immigration Act of 1965 undid earlier discriminatory immigration acts like the Chinese Exclusion Act that explicitly barred racial groups, not on any type of merit-based system, but because they were considered to be from culturally or racially inferior countries. Now, the immigration system that Tucker speaks about nostalgically did get some big-name approval from across the pond. One notable national leader said admiringly of our system, quote, "The American Union categorically refuses the immigration of physically unhealthy elements and simply excludes the immigration of certain races." End quote. It's a nice compliment, tarnished somewhat by the fact that it's a quote from Mein Kampf. Tucker expressly
I don't have any obligation to refute that or to explain how that's fucking stupid.
Laments the end of an immigration system that established quotas based on the perceived unworthiness of not just non-whites, but Italians, Eastern Europeans, as well as Asians and Africans. Now, Italians and other European groups were considered white prior to the 20th century, but if you think their inclusion on this list makes the list not racist, that's perfectly fine. But it is reflective of a bias that has nothing to do with American ideals, whether these groups share American values or whether they make good citizens. And that's what Tucker says he cares about, the rights of American citizens and the preservation of an American way of life.
She is such a fucking gullible mark. The fact that she thinks that he literally means good citizens and not just white people is perplexing, and honestly almost a reflection of either a complete lack of critical thinking right here, right now, or she is just a useful pawn. It's perplexing. And this is someone who used to be on the Bernie Sanders campaign. So you would figure that she would be ostensibly aware of these talking points and these dog whistles from people like Tucker Carlson. I mean, at the end, she's also on like Rising the Hill, so like I don't know if she's a grifter or if she probably like doesn't believe what she's saying, but I mean, this is pretty egregious.
In the earlier clip, he complained that Democrats were replacing old voters with new voters on the voter rolls. But I'm a little confused about that because all voters are American. Definitionally, only Americans can vote. So we have to ask what makes the new Americans inferior in his eyes to the old Americans. Why are legacy Americans more equal than non-legacy Americans?
The idea is that white people are culturally superior to black people and just non-European populations, and that's what he's getting at. He's just a racist, and I don't understand how she can't see that. I don't understand. It's either she can't see it or she's not looking. I feel more like it's the latter, but I don't know. This is pretty bad.
What makes someone who has worked hard and struggled through America's difficult immigration process, who has learned the presidents and state capitals and answers to questions that most native-born Americans probably can't answer, less worthy of participating in the society than someone whose family came in, let's say, the great immigration wave of the early 20th century? What is it about their character that makes them a bad fit? Now, Tucker is right about something. The Democrats have hoped that changing demographics will inure to their political benefit.
No, that's not true. This is a conspiracy theory. This is not happening. Illegals aren't being shipped to cities to vote blue. This is not happening. Yeah. She's basically just saying that the Great Replacement is true, which it's not. So
Pundits like Steve Phillips, author of Brown is the New White, How the Demographic Revolution Has Created a New American Majority, have traipsed the political circuit for years making this argument. And I hate it. In my view, people like Phillips are part of the rod at the center of the Democratic
oh,
Party.
okay. That's
They
good.
are responsible in significant part for its failures and are culpable in part for the rise of replacement theory. In a 2018 article at The Intercept, I criticized Phillips for arguing that America's growing non-white population is key to the Democratic Party's success, and that, quote, Democrats should not waste money appealing to white swing voters. The Democratic Party is useless today in part because it's been following Phillips' advice. For years now, the party has completely abandoned any effort to persuade voters of any race to pass the policies they actually want, or even to speak with them with a modicum of respect. Part of the reason is that advisors like Phillips, a senior...
And they're still winning. They win, which is wild. But I mean, there's still... The problem with this argument is that it implicitly frames it as though, like, the alternative to this would be the opposing party to the Democrats, which happen to be the Republicans. I'm not suggesting that she's doing this on purpose, but I feel like this kind of rhetoric, it's okay to criticize the Democrats, but I feel like this kind of rhetoric can irresponsibly move people over to the right, foolishly assuming that the right cares about workers just as they should.
senior advisor at top liberal think tank Center for American Progress, believe that white votes are a deplorable lost cause. And non-white voters, they think, will inevitably vote for Democrats, no matter how much the Democratic Party abuses them. Remember when Joe Biden told black voters in 2020 that if they didn't vote for him, they ain't black?
Yeah. What's the point here?
The Democrats saying out loud what so many of them believe, that non-white votes belong to them. They don't need to be earned. But they were wrong. As I wrote back then, though much is made of the browning of America, the country is still 70% white. And electoral strategies that are wholly dismissive of that population set themselves at an unnecessary disadvantage. America's browning is largely attributed to the fact that Hispanics constitute the largest growing ethnic group in the country. But a majority of Hispanics identify as white, and 1/3 continue to support Donald Trump. The irony is that Phillips's theory hasn't borne out. Democrats have so totally abandoned the working class, voters of all colors, that growing numbers of non-whites are looking for alternatives.
Okay, but this entire premise is false because Democrats aren't trying to brown America, or they're not trying to rely. That's such a terrible analysis here because they're not relying on it because it's basically ceding credence to the Great Replacement as a whole. They're not like hoping more black people get in here so that way they vote blue. That's not how that works. And that's also not happening.
Among Congress members, Republicans are the more vocal anti-interventionists right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene is out here outflanking squad members on the absurdity of giving aid to Ukraine while American babies starve.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. If my memory serves me correct, Marjorie Taylor Greene voted no against allocating millions of dollars towards infant formula. If my memory serves me correct here, she voted no on that. So how the fuck is she outflanking the left on that? That's such a dumbass thing to say. I mean, do I really have to deconstruct? It's really stupid. It's really stupid. Also, it's dumb that sending funds and resources. So wait, hold on. First off, sending funds to a country that's being invaded is morally good. Second off, those funds being sent there, if we didn't do that, it wasn't as though that shit was going to go somewhere else towards helping the people. That shit wasn't going to go there. So I don't understand how this is sort of if they did this, that means they're leaving this other stuff on the table. The United States has a sovereign currency. They can print their own money. They can do whatever the fuck they want. I mean, we have to deal with inflation, but at the same time, if we need to those funds that were sent to Ukraine to defend themselves against Russia wasn't going to be used for like formula or for increasing welfare or whatever the fuck else they think it was going to be used for. So I don't get it.
And Latinos are an important part of the Republican base. Now, this reality undermines Tucker's argument. Although he's right that Democrats hoped immigration changes would help them politically, they haven't. Not really. Not as much as people thought. Tucker doesn't have a strong electoral argument against immigrant populations who, on the whole, are more politically conservative and more religious than native-born Americans. And a slight liberal bias among first-generation immigrants disappears after a generation or two. They're ripe for Republican picking. And without the electoral case against...
Oh, I'm going to need a source on that because I don't know if I believe that. Maybe certain like Latino groups, that's the case. I don't know if that's true as a whole, which is what she was saying here.
Immigration, I think it's fair to ask a hypothetical, as Tucker often does. What could be motivating him to see immigration as such an existential threat? Whose existence is really imperiled right now? The white American lifespan is declining right now for the first time in American history. The opioid pandemic is a scourge made worse by the COVID pandemic and the lack of universal health care. Wages haven't kept up with inflation, and both corporate parties are aligned against raising the minimum wage, even though we haven't had a minimum wage raise for the longest period in American history, and even though Americans have never worked harder for less. When Carlson focuses his ire on corruption by elites, he's right on the nose. But the fact that
I know, like, this isn't really relevant. Well, I mean, it's a little relevant to what she's saying, but, like, she keeps, like, I don't know, she keeps stumbling upon her words, and that's, not really, that's not really good. I know, like, I don't know how much experience she has with doing, like, stuff like this, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know, it makes her messaging just seem not as, it doesn't deliver as much of a punch, I guess you could say.
he fully understands that it's elite capture that's causing so many Americans to hurt right now makes it difficult for me to understand how he thinks that a relatively small and powerless immigrant group deserves as much focus as the billionaires stalling our wages, poisoning our baby food, and ruining the country.
Huh?
And focusing on small, powerless
What?
individuals rather than big corporations in control is dangerous, literally. We need to be clear about what people like the Buffalo shooter are talking about when he talks about the Great Replacement. They're not just talking about the natural immigration and population trends that have existed since the first immigrants walked out of East Africa. To replace something is to put something new in the place of something old. It implies the old thing is gotten rid of, not simply added to. The threat suggested by Great Replacement isn't just low white birth rates or average immigration rates. It's something more pernicious, something akin to white genocide. And in fact, the Buffalo murderer describes the declining birth rate as, quote, mass genocide.
Is she going to get to
And
the point?
genocide is defined as the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. That's not what immigrants do. That's what the Buffalo shooter did. He hunted down black people so they could be replaced with so-called legacy Americans, a term I find kind of funny given that few communities have as deep historical roots in America as black Americans. After all, the Atlantic slave trade was abolished in 1808, meaning that the American descendants of slaves arrived here sometime before then. We predate the huge wave of European immigrants that arrived in this country between 1880 and 1920. 20 million immigrants arrived during those 40 years, nearly double the number of Africans forcibly enslaved and sold into bondage in the Americas over the span of 400 years. At this country's founding, black Americans constituted 20% of the population and comprised 16.5% after the Civil War. But that didn't last long. By 1920, at the end of the great wave of European immigration, the original racial fabric of this country had changed. The legacy Americans, black Americans, had largely been replaced. Now, I'm not sincerely arguing for a black version of replacement theory. I'm drawing this historical analogy to make a point. The idea that rapidly changing demographics can politically disadvantage a population is nothing new, nor is the idea that some white Americans are so threatened by changing demographics that they feel empowered to murder blacks, Jews, Latinos, Asians, and Native Americans. Elites in this country have always understood that the best way to distract the public from their looting of wages and public wealth is to pit people against each other, to divide them up by their differences. Mainstream news pundits on both Fox and MSNBC would like to use racial strife as a deflection from core economic issues that hurt working people of all ethnic and national origins.
How can she say this and ignore the blatant rhetoric that Tucker Carlson has been using? I don't understand the cognitive dissonance there.
That's why it's less important to focus on whether Tucker can be blamed for what happened in Buffalo and focus more on why there has been a proliferation of hateful rhetoric that makes working Americans see other powerless Americans as the source of their troubles.
You can do both. Like, his rhetoric that he uses is undeniably, correlated with Great Replacement rhetoric. Additionally, in addition to that, you can look at the ways in which far-right groups recruit and radicalize people online, especially young white men, and you can address that. But you shouldn't minimize the role that Tucker Carlson plays with respect to radicalizing other people. I mean, it's not as though because you can far right websites and forums can clip stuff from the Tucker Carlson show and put it on their forums or 4chan or whatever, and that can radicalize people as well. So it's not a either or thing. I think the culpability of Tucker Carlson with respect to radicalizing radicalizing whites to the point where they commit shootings like this is very much in play here. And you can also look for ways in which to minimize the ability to for far right groups to recruit and radicalize people like on their side. So I don't think that they're like at odds with one another. You can do both at the same time.
So much so that some folks resort to murder. We can't let this discourse replace important conversations about how we make this country live up to its ideals for all Americans together. So I know that's a lot, but
All right. Yeah, cool. So that's the main. I just wanted to watch the main segment there. I think overall, it's one of two things. All right. So it's either that she is unaware of she's unaware of how Tucker Carlson has been able to radicalize people through his rhetoric, or she is playing along and she doesn't actually care, and she really is just trying to perpetuate this anti-democrat sentiment in any way she can. If it means aligning with right-wing talking points, then so be it. I think that there is it's one of those two things, in my opinion. So this is a very pretty bad thing. I don't know how she is unable to parse the fact that Tucker is when he says like Americans and stuff like that, he's meaning white Americans, and um, so I don't know. And also her like refusal to like apply intersectional analysis here is also really weird. So I think this is pretty bad. I don't know how I don't know how she was able to fall this far with being on the Bernie Sanders thing. So I don't know, dude. This is pretty fucking bad. Oh boy. All right. Oh yeah, dude. The fucking what the fuck was it? Oh yeah, the fucking you know what? Let me show you guys actually what I her like oh yeah, also the Marjorie Taylor Greene outflanking the left on like sending Ukraine shit to defend themselves from imperialism. That's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. It's almost like comical. It's like what a neocon would say. All right. I can't actually say this because I'm not racist. But I'll show you what I'm looking at. She also said this. Let me pull up the broader thing here. Now, the problem here. Okay, wait. Let me go back. Yeah. So the problem with this, what she says here, solving class issues would mean true economic equality. At that point, and she says what she says here, and it's a very, very essentialist thing to say. So first off, this is class reductionist, and the reason why is because it relies on the it relies on class issues to dictate everything else in terms of their their capacity to influence society as a whole. And that's not the only thing that matters. So like now I know she specifies with like economic equality, but I think that this ignores some pretty important things, of which of course includes like intersectionality and dialectical materialism. I think I kind of summed it up pretty well with how I feel about this, by saying like it's not true that racism, and she says that no racism without power, which is a call to or a callback to that paradigm that prejudice plus power equals racism, and I disagree with that. But I'll explain in a second after I read what my response here. But it was that it is not true that racism cannot exist without power, because interpersonal racism can and historically has manifested itself into racially structural violence. if you normalize or are tolerant of bigotry, you enable its capacity to affect the system. I think that's absolutely true. The way in which we come to be racist is very interpersonal. Now, of course, there is a structural component to that because we see the ways that we sort of implicitly adopt the notion that whatever the law says, at least at a young age and depending on the household you grow up in, is usually codified through what we deem to be moral as a whole, as a society. And that in by itself, can manifest itself through that interpersonal racism. And if you're tolerant of that, and if she says, I don't give a damn if someone, of course, she should give a damn, because like if you just allow that stuff to happen, or if you're tolerant of that, you let people become further and further hateful, and as a result, you can enable that bigotry to um, influence laws and policy prescriptions, and that can turn into a structural form of violence. This is this is what I mean when she doesn't apply. Like she needs to think a couple steps ahead, because like being interpersonally racist can and has in the past resulted in people passing laws and people accepting those laws as as such as being racist, or just they're okay with it. And I think that that's pretty fucked up. We need to. It's not just a matter of it being a structural issue. There's also a sociological element here where you need to, you need to repudiate any sort of racism that exists within a society, because if you don't, you allow it to potentially infect uh, infect the system as a whole, and make its way either implicitly or explicitly in policies. So this is a very bad perspective to have, a borderline simplistic one at that. And not even, I think it's just blatantly simplistic. Also, I feel like with respect to dialectical materialism, she ignores the preconditions that have led to this place that we are right now. And I just think that this is really stupid. It's just really fucking stupid. So um, that's my whole thing on what happened there, because that was fucking crazy when I saw that. So yeah. Oh shit. Ah, cool beans. Well, yeah. So that was what I wanted to discuss there. I also saw this, and before I cover it, let me go. Let me get something to drink really quick. So I'll be back in 1 second. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. I am here. Oh boy. Now I gotta ask myself this important question. Do I want to risk... I don't know if I want to, but at the same time, it's hard to resist. Bill Maher did a segment that was so bad, I couldn't believe it. Oh man, I really want to cover it too. Is there like a transcript maybe I can read? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to fuck with anything. Oh my god. Wait, hold on. So, wait, okay, maybe I'll just talk about it here. So Bill Maher, like I said, he had a new rules segment, and this is bad. This is like really fucking bad. There was a segment he did a while ago about like money in politics, which is really bad, but this is this is something else. To the point where he's literally getting thank yous from Majority Taylor MTG right here. He That's the audience that he's catering to here. We're that far gone here. I really desperately want to play it, but I also don't want to get copyrighted. God almighty, this is really bad too. Maybe there's a transcript or something. Hold on. If I can't find it, then I'll just YOLO and play it. But yeah, let me see. Oh boy, this is big. I have never seen anything like this, and like it's really bad. This. Oh, this is a pretty I feel like that this is going to be a. Hold on. Yeah, you know what? That because this is like fair use, right? So I'm gonna say fuck it because this is fair use shit because I'm commenting on it. But maybe I'll speed it up. Okay. All right. Hold on. I also won't show it actually, so I'll play the audio. I'll play the audio, but I won't show it. Okay. Let's go, I guess.
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. Broken down over time, the LGBT population of America seems to be roughly doubling.
Can you guys hear that? Because I'm assuming you can. Yeah. Let's go.
Every generation. According to a Gallup poll, less than 1% of Americans born before 1946, Joe Biden's generation, identified that. 2.6% of boomers did, 4.2% of Gen X, and 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z, which means
Okay. I hope so. I certainly hope so.
and then who's going to buy this chair? I'm just saying that when things change this much, this fast, people are allowed to ask, what's up with that? All the babies are in the wrong bodies? Was there a mix-up at the plant, like with Captain Crunch's oops, whole berries?
Oh no. Oh no. We are. Whew. This is a sign of something that's not good. I didn't see the whole thing, by the way. I only saw like the first little bit, and I thought that it was gonna be like crazy, crazy, and I figured I would discuss it. All right, hold on. And also, hold on. Wait. Shut up. Stop. Stop. Oh, damn it. Sorry. Hold on one sec. Okay. Um. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's just go, and I'll figure it out. All right. Oh boy. Let me take a sip before we keep going. So he's comparing basically people who are transgender. Wait, hold on. So what he's doing here is he's being stupid. Whether that's intentional or not is not for me to say. But people are becoming more trans. Okay, so here's the deal: people are becoming more trans nowadays, or being openly gay or lesbian because it's more socially accepted. Um, there isn't this. I don't know what the implication would be otherwise until I watch a little bit more of this, but um, we'll see. I guess.
It wasn't that long ago when adults asked a kid, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" They meant what profession.
Also, I don't like this joke because it's sort of the implication there is that like that this is like something that is not a big deal or something that's like a choice or yeah, I think the more annoying thing about that is that it comes off as though that's a choice and that's what's problematic, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, it technically is. I mean, in terms of being like trans or whatever, but it's not it's that simple. You have to go through a very you have to go to therapy. You have to go uh, speak with an endocrinologist. You have to speak with a doctor, and like it's a whole process, and it's not like a simple thing, right?
In the wake of America about to lose abortion rights, the ACLU recently tweeted a list of those who would be disproportionately harmed by this. You would think women might top that list. No, wasn't even on the list. Second on the list was LGBT. Really? Abortion rights affects gay and trans people more than, breeders?
Why is he surprised by this? What does he not know? What, does he not know? People who are like trans, there's some people who are trans who still have uteruses.
I'm happy for LGBT folks that we now live in an age where they can live their authentic lives openly. And we should always be mindful of respecting and protecting. But someone needs to say it. Not everything's about you.
Hey, you know what? It's a good thing no one said that. The only thing that people in this and the LGBTQ community are saying is like, please give us equal rights and please treat us with respect, and that's it. How does wait? Hold on. This is actually stupider than I originally thought. How is being put on the ACLU? How is the ACLU saying what they said in terms of people who are disproportionately affected by the abortion ban? How is that indicative of them being like, oh, it's all about me? What the fuck is he talking about?
And it's okay to ask questions about something that's very new and involves children. The answer can't always be that anyone from the marginalized community is automatically right. Trump card might drop into discussion. Because
Cool.
we're literally experimenting on children.
Whoa! Hey, hold on, hey. Experimenting on children. What the hell? Wait, hold on. So does he mean like puberty blockers? Because that's not happening. Like children have been receiving puberty blockers since like the 80s. And if he means that wait, hold on, this is actually as bad or transphobic as Michael Knowles saying that liberals and the woke scolds are trying to trans the children, like when they're talking about like people like those teachers in schools. It's the exact same level of egregiousness. Yeah, people, children are not being experimented with. They're, in therapy. They're in consultation with their physicians. This isn't a experiment. This is something that's been, first off, this is something that's been happening for a while, and due to medical science progressing to the point where it is now, I think that's pretty cool that people can who are early onset with gender dysphoria, for example, that they can get puberty blockers and not have to go through that puberty that they don't want to go through or they shouldn't be going through.
That's why Sweden and Finland have stopped giving puberty blockers to kids, because we just don't know much about the long-term effects. Although common sense should tell you that when you reverse the course of raging hormones, there's going to be problems.
So if that's true, that Sweden like ended that shit, that's obviously bad. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that puberty blockers are like a net positive because first off, they're reversible, and second off, they they significantly decrease suicidal ideation and other mental disorders that trans people or gender dysphoric people would otherwise experience if they had not taken those puberty blockers. So this is honestly saving lives, if anything. That's pretty. And also, we do know the long-term effects because we've been administering puberty blockers since like the 80s to children. I'm pretty sure that there are longitudinal studies out there that examine the long-term side effects of puberty blockers. Now you can make the claim that there are bone density related side effects with the prescription of and the taking of puberty blockers, but those aren't administered long enough for those side effects to take significant effect upon the person who is taking the puberty blockers. So that is something that should be considered. Also, who the fuck are these? What are these? Wait, what are these articles? One of Us and National Review. Okay, I might be doing more due diligence than may that's probably necessary, but at One of Us, let's start there because I have a feeling that that's a turf site. One of Us. Wait. I have some strong turf senses there. Is that even... I don't see anything. Wait, let me try this. Stop it. Let's see. This is important, by the way, because his sourcing will indicate either confirmation bias or something else. What does the thing actually say? Sweden and practice. Okay. Okay, this is it. Okay, this is it. Let's look at this website. This is One of Us. This is actually important. Is this... Oh, this fucking period thing. Is there like an about section maybe? This could be reputable and I could just take the L, but I'm just doing it for due diligence. Maybe if I go to wiki. Now, what is this? One of Us, is that One of Us study? That's just like a weird... I don't think I'm gonna find anything on this. Alright, I don't want to spend too much time on that. But we could. There isn't even like an about section. Maybe on the homepage. Shut up. Oh, this is an EU website. I don't know if I can find much on this. Okay, our mission, I guess, would be more. This might just be like. Yeah, I don't know. This is probably nothing. Sorry. I thought maybe this would be sussy wussy, but maybe it's not. So we'll continue. And I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen. Cool. All right. Let's do it.
We do know it hinders the development of bone density.
Okay.
Unfortunately, like having skeleton.
But yet again, and I will reiterate this. They are never administered long enough to where the long-term side effects of that would result in significant damage done upon the individual. That's a very important thing to highlight there, unless he doesn't know.
Fertility and the ability to have an orgasm seem also to be affected. This isn't just a lifestyle decision, it's medical.
Wait, yes it is, Bill. This is medical. This is important. These are serious decisions being made. They're not just willy-nilly saying, oh, LOL, I'm going to be a cat girl. That's not happening. People experience gender dysphoria. They get therapy. They are in consultation with physicians. This isn't a fucking joke. This is something, these are people's lives. They're not just deciding, oh, I'm a fucking trans person. Like, it's not that simple. He's acting as like he's acting like the LGBTQ community don't know that.
Trade-offs is not bigotry. Yet when a book questioning the sudden uptick in transitioning children was released, a trans lawyer with the ACLU named Jason Strangio tweeted, stopping the circulation of this book and these ideas is 100% a hill I will die on. Very
Wait, hold on. What is that book? He just hold on. You can't just throw the irreversible damage, the transgender craze seducing our daughters. Wow. And this is what Bill Maher is saying is like. How did he frame? Hold on. How did he frame this?
lifestyle decision. It's medical. Weighing trade-offs is not bigotry.
No one said it was.
The sudden uptick in transitioning children was released. A trans lawyer with the ACLU named Jason Strangio tweeted, stopping the
Wait, so the title of this is just the red flag by itself. It's irreversible damage, the transgender craze seducing our daughters. This is an unacceptable source to use if you're going to say, hey man, he's just asking questions and he's just looking at the effects. This is appalling. This is obviously politically motivated too. I cannot believe that Bill Maher believes that this is somewhat a credible piece of literature. Also, this doesn't look like an academic thing. This looks like a storybook or something.
With the ACLU named Jason Strangio tweeted, stopping the circulation of this book and these ideas is 100% a hill I will die on. Now, very civil liberties ahead. Chase, by the way, has just been named one of the grand marshals of this.
Wait, by the way, it's important to also highlight the fact that it's totally fine to prevent the circulation of ideas that are harmful to society as a whole and democracy. Because at the end of the day, like stuff like this, books like those, probably, in this case, will result in legislation being passed that restricts the ability for people who are gender dysphoric to seek gender affirming care. So honestly, if anything, he's doing a service to civil liberties. But because Bill Maher only thinks one step ahead, he is insinuating that the banning or the prevention of circulation of harmful ideas and ideologies is somewhat intrinsically a harmful thing by itself, which it's not, of course, but
What's missing here? Oh, right, a gay man.
What?
That's where we are now. Gay men aren't hip enough for the gay pride parade. Compared to trans, gay is practically cis, and cis is practically Mormon.
What is he talking about?
This is a phenomenon we need to take into account when we look at this issue. Yes, part of the rise in LGBT numbers is from people feeling free enough to tell it to a pollster, and that's all to the good. Whoops.
Yes, that's true, and that's actually the majority thing.
Some of it is, it's trendy. Penis equals man. Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime...
Wait, is that... Okay, this guy... Okay, hold on. Bill Maher has been using the okay boomer joke for so long that, like, I have... I don't know. He's been using it longer than probably I've been alive. It's like the only joke he falls back on. Anytime he discusses anything that's socially progressive, he has to throw in an okay boomer joke. It's like a law of nature, I guess.
Directive of every team is anything to shock and challenge the squares of what you are. It's why nobody gets a nose ring at 56.
Wait, hold on. This argument is really stupid. How can you possibly suggest that people who experience gender dysphoria, who are who go through the medical shit related to transitioning, are doing so because it's trendy? How does that work? Is there like a... Is that how... That's not how... I feel like this just illustrates his ignorance upon how the process actually goes with how people transition. It's there's a lot to it. It's not like, oh, I get to be trans now and that's that. It's a whole process. And honestly, this is very disrespectful. The notion that these people are... It's a choice to, like, be gay, or like that they're doing it for the aesthetics, is so incredibly disrespectful and unsympathetic.
And if you haven't noticed that with kids, doing something for the likes is more important than their own genitals, you haven't been paying attention. Dr. Erica Anderson is a prominent...
This is fear-mongering.
...psychologist who is herself transgender, who now says, I think it's gone too far. The LA Times summarizes, she's come to...
Wait, hold on. Who was that? Erica Anderson? Erica Anderson. Okay. She said that it's gone too far. Let's actually look her up. Shall we? Erica Anderson. Who is this person? Let me learn, because I like learning, and learning is fun. She's an actress? Wait, is this the same person? Am I even going to find this person? Erica Anderson. Okay. Maybe I can find something on her. I don't know who this person is. That might not be... Let's see. Is this even her? It doesn't look like her. Okay, that's not... There's no way that's her. Transgender map. What is this? She's a conservative woman. This sounds more like the person we're talking about, but I wish I had a picture. So I can, like, get the... Oh, yep, that's definitely her. Okay. Wait, and this is a transgender map. I don't know what... We can look at that in a moment. But she is a conservative woman psychologist who believes trans healthcare should not be offered under an informed consent model if people are under age 26. She believes trans and gender diverse youth should endure a year or more psychological gatekeeping from her before getting access to healthcare. Oh, okay. Anderson also claims that some young people are transitioning because it's trendy or because of peer influence and social contagion. This disease model, gender diversity, has been criticized by many of her peers, and she resigned from... Oh, no shit. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Keep in mind, it is... I cannot... And this is really important. I really need everyone to hear this. Like, getting gender-affirming care at a young age, if it's deemed appropriate by physicians and psychologists and all that, it is unfathomably important, because going through a puberty that you didn't want to go through is very difficult for someone who ends up transitioning later. It's just to get out ahead of it, really. And of course, these decisions are not made carelessly. They are conducted in correspondence with, of course, the child's physician, their parents, and all that. And getting like puberty blockers or waiting until they're an older age to transition only increases their propensity for anxiety disorders and suicide. So, yeah. She's transgender herself. Okay, so we get a little bit of some manga material here, some character development. Oh, that's weird. Permission to be yourself. In 2016, she appeared in a season 6 of Alt for a reality show about Swedish Americans who return to their Swedish roots. She has been a member. Yep. And in that capacity, she was a signatory on the 2020 statement critical of proposed legislation to ban trans healthcare providers. Okay, and this is interesting. Okay, so this is according to her, apparently. The controversy, whether gender dysphoria is permanent or ethereal, has occasionally made its way into the UCSF clinic with clinic psychologist Erica Anderson herself. Okay. I think a fair number of kids are getting into it because it's trendy, who's married for 30 years and fathered 2 children before transitioning. I'm often the naysayer at our meetings. I'm not surprised. I'm not sure it's always really trans. I think in our haste to be supportive, we're missing the element. Kids are all being born accepted by their peers as alternative professionals. So this is absolutely stupid because we live in a heteronormative cisgender society. The fact that people are being peer pressured into being transgender or whatever is comical almost. There's more people becoming transgender, and that's largely a product of social acceptance and representation in the media and all that. It's not because I guess it depends on what you define as trendy. If trendy just means, hey, we're represented, then there might be some grain of truth to that. But like at the same time, trendy implies that they're doing it for aesthetic purposes, which is not the case. So yeah, he's basically parroting this argument. Bill Maher is. So he may know who she is because it's like creepy. It's like the same argument, right?
The LA Times summarizes, we've come to believe that some children identifying as trans are falling under the influence of their peers on social media. If you attend a small dinner party, typically very liberal, upper-income Filipinos, it's not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio?
Well, what? Wait, hold on. Maybe he has a point. Hold on.
This spike in trans children is all natural. Why is it regional?
It's not. There's plenty of people who are closeted that live in rural, like Nebraska, or who live in all across the country. They just haven't come out yet, or haven't been given the resources or the support that they need or desire to be open about discussing their gender identity. Oh, and also it's worth keeping in mind that there are states across the country who are making a conceited effort to ban people from seeking gender-affirming care. So that's worth noting. Wait, hold on. What did he say? It sounded stupid. Ohio is Oh, wait. How does that work? I mean, yes, right? Ohio. I'm assuming he means like just red states, right? But like, yeah, like red states hate trans people. Like liberal states don't as much. And what does he mean by creating them? This is what I mean, dude. The premise here is flawed. We're not creating trans kids. We're not transing them. We're just there's many people who are unaware of gender identity as a whole. Because when I was a kid, I didn't even think about gender. I just thought about like I'm a guy and that's it, right? I didn't think about it. It was just subconscious. But as you become more conscientious of it, you start to question whether or not that gender that you were assigned at birth represents who you are. And as more people come out and as more people transition, it becomes normalized, and people are realizing, hey, maybe I'm not who maybe I'm not maybe I'm not a man, or maybe I'm not a woman, or whatever, and that's fine. But this like phrasing that they're California or liberals or whoever are creating trans kids, it's really weird.
It's like that day we suddenly all needed bottled water all the time. If we can't admit that in certain enclaves there is some...
Wait, hold on. That's actually a really disgusting comparison. That's deplorable, because people who drink like that's like trivializing people's gender dysphoria. Um, that's fucking disgusting. He's like basically a is what's crazy is like I always thought he was like a liberal, or like I don't know, like some like SNL kind of fucking liberal, or whatever, like upper middle class. But this is worse. This is like basically conservatives.
level of trendiness to the idea of being anything other than straight, then this is not a serious science-based discussion. It's a blow being struck in the culture wars using children as cannon fodder. I don't understand parents who won't let their 9-year-old walk to the corner without a helmet, an EpiPen, and a GPS tracker. And God forbid their lips touch dairy. Look,
Hey, guess what? That doesn't happen. But yeah. Wait, wait, hold on. Does it get worse?
hormone blockers and genital surgery, fine. Talk about a nut allergy.
Again, he's sort of trivializing the process. I've already said this many times, but it's not as simple as like, hey, parents, I want. It's like he acts like parents are like, yeah, dude, let me take my child because I want them to be trans to go to the doctor and then transify them. Like he acts like it's a walk-in surgery or something. I don't get it. But also, yeah, let's scorn parents for like protecting their child by wearing a helmet.
I guess penises are gross now, but one might come in handy later on. And if you're a man who wants to experience life without a pair of balls, you do not have to get surgery. You can get married. Oh, we joke.
S tier joke.
Never forget, children are impressionable and very, very stupid.
I don't think they're the only ones that's impressionable and stupid.
Kids don't know why mom drinks every day or why dad has 2 cell phones. Maybe the boy who thinks he's a girl is just gay. Or whatever Fraser was.
Dude, okay, so that basically just gave it away there. He doesn't know how the process works. He doesn't know that children go through therapy.
Maybe the girl who hates girly stuff just needs to learn that being female doesn't mean you have to act like a Kardashian. Maybe childhood makes you sad sometimes, and there are other solutions besides hand me the dip saw. And look, I'm sure the vast
That's very funny.
do not take this lightly, and that it's very hard to know when something is real or just a phase. And I understand being trans is different, it's innate. But kids do also have phases. They're kids, it's all phases. The dinosaur phase, the Hello Kitty phase. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next day you can't get to leave their room.
I don't know if you can compare those situations that he illustrated there to kids who are expressing gender nonconforming behavior. It's not, this isn't like just a, yeah, sure, there might be some instances where children are more like men or boys are more feminine, or vice, or like women or the girls are more masculine, but like it's not just that. It's not just like, hey, my little boy was wearing a dress, what should I do? There it's more egregious behavior and more psychological than that.
Gender fluid, kids are fluid about everything. Kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world we filled with cowboys and princesses. I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg leg surgery.
Yeah, okay, so I feel like this, I don't think that Bill Maher is like a grifter. I think he's just an idiot, because this whole segment basically illustrated to me that he doesn't understand the process by which trans people go through the process of transitioning. And this whole idea that it's like it's just to be trendy or whatever is like unbelievably ignorant. I don't know. Maybe he just gets his science from like Dr. So, but it's really it's really a fall from grace because like he used to be like I thought like he was more progressive when I was like watching him back in the day, but like seeing this shit now is like it's like it's like I don't know, dude. It's like I'm watching like Ben Shapiro discuss trans people, right? It's really bad. Um, so and the audience he has cultivated is certainly not a liberal one, and I feel like it's pretty interesting that like he had a majority Taylor Green fucking retweeting him saying like thank you, so that's something. Yeah. Anyway, that was all I wanted to talk about today. Pretty fucking crazy stuff going on, but that's just par for the course when you are following politics as closely as I am. But with that being said, you know, I want to thank you all for watching. Um, you know, I'll be on probably, you know, obviously next week, and maybe I'll make some videos in between. Maybe I won't. But regardless, you know, I just want to thank you guys for watching.